Hello, hello. How's it going?
I am doing good. You can tell Mark's not on because I don't know how to do that fancy transition he does from the video through to us being on here. How's things?
Yeah. Yeah, pretty good. Pretty good here. It's been slowing down just a little bit with the yard project. So a lot of the stone is already moved, so we're just planning stuff and yeah. So the hard part is over and we have Ariel too. Hey, what's going on?
Hey, Ariel.
Hey,
Nice to have you on.
thanks for having me.
How are
Filling in.
you?
I'm good. I'm good. It's taken a lot to get me here today, though.
What's been going on then?
Just the three little people, organizing them.
Yeah, I know
Because
that.
yeah, not in London anymore where all my family is, so it's a lot harder, but
Yeah,
making it work. So yeah.
good. Well, I want to, yeah, we'll come into that in a little bit more in a sec. But I just want to say hi to everyone. Obviously, this is the Niche Lifestyle Show. Usually we've got Alex from WP Eagle and Mark on here as well, but Mark's on holiday. And Alex is on holiday from Spain back in the UK, so obviously he can't be on here as well. He might pop in. He popped in on the last week's stream for like 2 minutes, probably because it was about AI tools and he loves AI tools and he just wanted to have his say, I guess. But you've got me and Doug asked Ariel to come on as a special guest. So the topic today is being enough. But before we get into that, Ariel, tell us a bit about yourself. I know people who watch Doug's channel probably know who you are, but for people who don't know who you are, who are you? What do you do? You're obviously not in London anymore.
Yeah, I'm an author and site owner of too many sites, according to Doug. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Author and business owner, I guess.
Awesome. And you're obviously, oh, sorry, I'm trying to move my camera so I'm in the same height as you all, but it's not quite working out there.
It's better you could just stand like that. No, I'm just kidding.
There we go. I'll do. I'll just try and
That's
sit up.
better. Much better. Yeah.
Cool. Do you have your own sites, Ariel, or are you author for other people's sites?
Yeah, no, I've got 7 or 8 sites now.
Amazing.
Yeah, trying to focus on just the one or 1, 2-ish with the case study with Doug.
Yeah.
But we might need to pivot again, Doug. We'll talk about that another time.
Yeah. We got to catch up.
Yeah.
So.
How long have you been doing this for Ariel?
When did I start? I think I started at the end of 2020.
Right.
So around November. So that I made my first site in November. And then I quickly realized that it was quite limited. And then I made another site.
Yeah.
And then I thought that didn't have enough products in it. So I made another site. And then I just kind of kept going.
Makes sense. And did you get into this because you saw you went through Doug's program, or how did you even get started in this world?
How did I? I've always had sites. I've had sites probably since 2011. I was buying and selling on eBay. So
Right.
I got into drop shipping and stuff, and I started trying to make my own sites. But I didn't learn SEO and everything else to drive traffic to them. So social media and buying traffic on Fiverr. But so SEO evaded me for a while, and I came across, I think it was Income School first, then Carl Broadbent, and then Doug. But Doug had all the interviews on his channel, so I just binged on all of those. And I actually said to myself, one day I'm going to go on Doug's show and tell everybody, oh, these are my sites.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so.
That's amazing. And Doug, is your course still open? I know you had it open recently. Is it just closed, or is it still open?
Just closed.
Just
closed. So yeah, I usually open it 4 times a year. So typically, January, April, July, and then October. So I've stuck to that pretty well. So if you missed it this time around, you can shoot me an email. It literally just closed up, but yeah, usually I try to keep people like working through it at the same time and all that. So
makes sense. Awesome. So Doug, how's your week been? You said you're moving off the yard project.
Yeah. It's been good. It's been a couple weeks ago we had, I don't know, like 10 things over the weekend, mostly social, all fun stuff, but it was like too much. So last weekend we really didn't do anything. Like we intentionally left it calm, which was good. My wife just started, or she read all of the Harry Potter books in the last year or so.
Right.
I didn't see any of them. I haven't read any of the books. I didn't care. It didn't matter. I think like I'm at the right age where I'm at the right age where when those movies came out, I was like in my early 20s. So I was like, I don't care about kids' movies or the books or
Be
anything
careful
like
what you
that.
say, Doug. People will say they're not kids' movies.
Well, and I'm trying to get it, so I'm going in with an open mind. So I'm
Yeah.
we started watching them, and I took some edibles, and I'm like going in. I'm like, is this going to be any good? I got to say, the first one was a little bit slow, and I've heard other people say like, yeah, it's a setup thing. So, yeah, the second one was a little better. We just watched that. But the funny thing is like in all the movies and TV shows, like there's references like for the last whatever 15 years all through popular culture. And I know when it's a reference to Harry Potter because it's something that I don't know what it is, but it's, other people are very excited about it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm trying to catch up. And yeah, I think, a lot of those, young adult books or stories, usually it's just like the characters are young, like the concepts are big and all that. So yeah, I'm trying to check them out and see if they're any good. Hopefully, did you guys get into them?
Yeah, hell yeah.
I say similar to you, Doug. I was just past that point where it became popular, and then it got to the point where there's so many movies. I just didn't want to catch up,
Yeah, there's a
and
lot.
I've not
Harry,
caught up.
he was my age. I think
Okay.
we were the same age. So, but you grew. So I grew with him. So all the things he was going when he went back to school, I was going back to school. So I went to Hogwarts with him. It was all
Yeah.
quite close.
Yeah. I mean, it makes sense, and I like, yeah. So I am checking it out. My wife was like, "Ah, yeah, I want to watch all the movies." So yeah, we're going through it. I'm just stoned the whole time, so I'm doing what I can, but I'm paying
Makes it
attention.
bearable. Tony loves the Harry Potter movies as well. Hey Tony, how you doing? All right. How was the anniversary dinner and date with your wife last week? By the way, hope it went well. Um, Awesome. Well, the topic of this week, Mark picked it, and Mark's not here, so we have to run with Mark's topic. But Mark's topic was being enough, and I mean broadly it can mean, I think it means different things to different people. So I just want to get like top level ideas from both you, Doug, and Ariel, of what does being enough mean for the both of you.
I guess I'll start off
Yeah.
since it's a tough question and Ariel's a guest. Thanks for hopping in. And one thing we can do, Adam,
Mm,
whoever comes up with a topic, like they should have to be there at least so they could put it in the right context. Because I think this happened a couple times, and it's like,
yeah.
we don't know our schedule, and we're flying by the seat of our pants. So, um, I think so. I see this, or I equate this to slowing down a little bit. And I think if people have watched a few of these, you probably gather, like I say, I'm lazy. I'm not really lazy. I'm just choosing not to do work. And I
Yeah.
worked hard many years before. And now I'm like, okay, like working more is not going to get me closer to like some arbitrary goal. So I think I often equate it in our world to either you have enough money or you're earning enough money and you stop comparing yourself to other people and you're just like, okay, I'm at a spot and I've designed a game with my own rules and my own objectives, and it doesn't matter if someone's earning a little bit more or they have more traffic or they have more sites or whatever. And I don't even pay attention anymore. And the thing is, you'll always lose that game because there's always someone better or earning more, or they have a little more experience, or they had whatever, like more advantages or less advantages, and then they did better than you. Like there's a million things that you could short circuit whatever you're doing. So I have like this other interest in the personal finance space, and we've talked about it a little bit before with financial independence. So I've, I stopped in the corporate world. The financial independence has at least a framework where you can like have enough money where you don't have to worry about it anymore. So your ambition can like go down and you could pursue other things like watching Harry Potter movies or or like doing outdoor adventures or whatever your hobby is. So you can spend more time on those other things. Um, so that is what I usually equate this to. I think that's probably what Mark was getting at. I'm not quite sure, but yeah, for me, I'm like, I have enough. Like, I don't need to do more. Like, if I want to pursue another little challenge, like I'll talk about it a little bit later, probably at the end. But I'm like starting to look at the AI tools, so I don't have to do other YouTube videos, but people want to see that stuff, and I want to
Yeah.
learn about it. So it's like I'm doing it, but I'm not doing it for the views specifically. I'm not doing it for revenue. I'm not doing it for anything other than like interest. And I know the audience wants to know. So I'll stop there.
That makes sense. I just want to touch on one point because I think how did you feel when you left your corporate job? Because I think because you had a really good corporate job, you were I think with a consultancy firm, like a really really well respected consultancy firm, a well respected job. Leaving that and then like having friends and family and people maybe think, hey, Doug had this really great job, he's now left. Like did you feel like at that point in your life, maybe it's hard to remember, but did you feel
Yeah.
like you were enough then because other people were judging you? Or
Yeah. Great question. So I got laid off. So that made it a little bit easier. People were like, oh, you got laid off. So they weren't like, you quit your job to do something that we don't understand at all. That
yeah,
would have been a little bit different.
yeah,
That said, my parents were always like really supportive. I I don't know if they like understood what I was starting to work on, but I was always self-sufficient since I was a kid and like
yeah,
earned money when I was like 12. So I
right,
think they knew that that was fine. Um, and then with my corporate peers, I didn't really care at that point. I was like, you guys are doing something completely different. Like,
yeah,
look at the corner office test, the guy down the hall or the gal down the hall that's running the stuff. Like, do they look happy? Do you want to sit there in 10 years? And most people would be like, this sucks. They're more unhappy than me. Like, so they were like they were playing another game, to just equate it back to that analogy. I think they were playing another game that they didn't design the rules. They just showed up there, and that's what happened to me. I was like, okay, and then eventually I was like, well, this sucks. Like, I don't want to do this anymore. So I think just based on that, I would shrug off people's opinion because I didn't respect what they were trying to do. I mean, they could do whatever they want. I don't care, but I
yeah.
didn't care if they were judging what I was doing because it was completely different. So.
That's really good. Do you struggle with that, Ariel? Or I know I personally struggle with how people. I always think what other people think of me. How do other people judge me? And it sounds like Doug just didn't care at that point. Like he didn't care what his peers
I can
thought or
relate
anything.
to
But
Yeah, I can relate to the last part of what Doug said, because I think for me, being enough ties into the whole imposter syndrome thing, and for me that would be I think it really dawned on me when I started writing my biography sort of thing, like my about me page, and I went through all the things that I'd done up until this point, and it's like I've done the work. I've done this stuff. I'm not an imposter because I've actually got this experience. I've got an amazing story, and everything that I've done up until now has led to the mindset that I've got now, the things that I'm doing now. So yeah, so I've not really cared. I think I've stepped into the not caring a bit more now,
yeah,
and really being comfortable with what I'm doing. People expecting me to be doing this or be this person. It's just really accepting who I am, knowing who I am, and growing from there. So yeah, definitely. I like that concept of being enough because it forces you to look at your insecurities, look inside yourself, and kind of analyze your growth. And I love that stuff.
Mhm.
and have you found that that's transition just from your personal life into just every aspect of your life, or you still feel that some of the old chains are still kind of there in other parts?
No, I think it's I think it starts and then it just transcends throughout every aspect, because it's something within you. So once you become comfortable within yourself, you don't really have those, you can walk into a room and then just be comfortable being yourself. So yeah.
Well, I think this is going to be great then, because it sounds like you two are very comfortable around being yourself and don't really care what other people think. And I'm getting there, but I'm definitely still not there. I still care about what other people think. I still care about what my friends and family think. I've not been able to kind of shrug that off as easily, it sounds like, as you two. I never got to the point where I just thought, I don't care. I don't care anymore what people think.
That's not always a good thing.
Yeah. It could be like, I think Ariel and I are both like self-aware, so we're not like abrasive with it. But yeah, Adam, let's go into it. Like, when you quit your job, and like, why do you think you value other people's opinions? Which sounds like a really harsh way to say it, but yeah, why did? I'll leave it open. Yeah.
I think a lot of it is to do with upbringing as well. Like, being brought up, I was taught to go to university and then get a good job and then kind of follow that route, and kind of follow that path, went to university, got a fairly good job, and then having to leave that. And interestingly, something weird come up on my Facebook memories this week, and it's perfect timing. And I used to have to wear like smart clothes for work, like a shirt and a tie sometimes. And a memory came up after I'd left there, and it said, I really miss wearing like shirt and tie. And I was thinking, I wonder why. And I started thinking, like, even just wearing that type of nice clothing to work, to an office environment, just felt like being important, I think. And I kind of missed that. I don't anymore, but this was not long after I left. And it made me remember that I missed that feeling of feeling important, because I felt like I had an important job. The money wasn't amazing. I spent really long hours there, but I felt like I was important because I had a title, and I had, I wore nice clothes to work. It's really strange. I've left that part behind, but that was really weird when it came up on my feeds.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. So when I had that consulting job, they put you into training for a couple weeks with a bunch of other like people going through orientation, and they really like indoctrinate you to like whatever bullshit Kool-Aid they want you to drink, and you're like, I'm so important. I was like 24, right? I didn't know anything. I was an idiot, right? Yeah. So then they ship us off to they charge a lot for us, even in experience. So anyway, we go through the airport, and like you said, we're like, you're dressed up in business casual or whatever, you're going through the airport, you feel important because they're spending like whatever, $400 a flight back and forth. They're putting you up in a hotel, they're paying all the food, and they're charging whatever, $250 an hour for like an inexperienced person. So you feel so important. My salary didn't reflect any of that, but you feel really good. And now when I look back, I'm like, I make so much more money. I have a lot more wealth. I dress just like shorts and a t-shirt 90% of the time, flip-flop, and go through the same airport. And the funny thing is, I think I still probably feel like proud. And I'm like, look at these chumps that they think they're important, and they're wearing a suit. And in fact, I remember I was in Boulder having lunch at a bar or something, and like, there are business people there. And I was like, I feel so bad for those jerks that have to wear suits. Like, it's so hot. Like, that is miserable. Whatever they're getting paid, like, it's not, I don't like to be hot and sweaty in like a suit. That's awful. That's misery to me. So anyway, I guess I judge people a lot. That's the conclusion. But I know, Adam, I know exactly what you're talking about. You're like, I'm important. So do you do anything to like dress up occasionally?
Well, no, I don't feel like that anymore. Interesting enough, it only because it came up on my memories. I was like, oh yeah, but I did. I like trying to tie it back to the thing of being enough. Like, I guess after I left, I wasn't managing massive budgets. Like, I used to work with universities who would spend hundreds of thousands of pounds with the digital marketing agency. I wasn't managing those budgets. I wasn't going to these client meetings. I wasn't dressing like that nice anymore. Like I wasn't wearing suits and stuff. And I guess it probably did have a knock on my confidence a bit. I don't know what's changed in my life where now I really appreciate just being in shorts and t-shirt and dressing and not wearing that stuff. And same as you, Doug, I see people, in my old job, I drive past where I used to work for my first job in a car rental on a Saturday morning. I can see them running around in there like years ago. I think, I could never imagine doing that again. But I guess at the time, if I had to think back to when I finished, like I probably didn't feel those things felt important at the time.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking. That's their journey. So they probably don't see anything, wrong, or they're probably proud like the way you were to be there and be in their job and to be in their suit dressed up. It makes them feel good. So
okay. So what about celebrating the little things then? Because another aspect of feeling that you are enough, I think, is celebrating small goals. I think most of us, me definitely, always focus on the bigger picture, never appreciating the little milestones in between. How do you guys do that? Are you always on the big picture? Do you make time to celebrate the milestones?
I'm very
Ariel,
much,
you go first.
yeah, I journal. So I actually have to every day write like what I'm grateful for. So that forces me. So I don't have to keep writing the same things. That forces me to look at the little things. So yes, I definitely focus on each individual brick in the bigger picture that I'm building, so I can appreciate the journey, because I think that is especially with niche sites, it's very easy to say, okay, this is what I want to earn a month or whatever, and then you're just focused on getting there and not really focusing on the journey and enjoying it. And then if it becomes a chore, it might be easier to quit because you're not enjoying it, you're not seeing the results. But because I focus on just my journey and enjoying everything that I do and making sure that I'm still having fun with it, I'm able to appreciate all the little things that come. So when you get that first $1 and then the $5, and so you can appreciate those things.
Interesting you mentioned the gratitude journal there, because I saw a couple of our team talking about some of them do have a journal, gratitude journal. When did you start that? Like, how did you start it? Has it had a big impact in your life, would you say?
Yeah, huge impact. So I think like with most things, when you're going through a tough time and you look for something to kind of help you out, that's when those kind of groundbreaking things happen. So I think I spoke to a friend for about 4 hours, and we was in a small place, and it was just a bad time. So she told me to read this book. I think it's called You Can Heal Your Life. I forgot the author, but I read that book and everything changed from there. Like there were so many things that I started to look at differently. And I decided, okay, let me buy a journal. I bought one specifically for that. And I just started writing down the things I was grateful for. And it's like magic, but just like within a few days or weeks, everything just started changing. So I was like, I feel better. I feel so much better just appreciating these things, because they are things that I should appreciate anyway. So so I haven't stopped since then. So meditating, journaling, all of that, it goes hand in hand for me.
That's amazing. Doug, do you journal at all?
I do off and on. So I'm in an off period. Although I tried to pick it back up, like when we were on vacation, I actually journaled then. But yeah, I haven't put it back like in the routine properly. I did, to your point, Ariel, I did, I guess it was like the 5-minute journal, maybe for like 6 months or so, 5 years ago. And it was fine. I ended up doing a lot of like repetitive, like gratitude pieces of it. And I think, I think for me, and my interpretation is like often, well, I don't want to project on you, Ariel, but like I'm usually thinking of like positive stuff, and I have like observed some people who the gratitude journals or thinking about gratitude helped a lot because it pulled them away from like the negative spiral where they're thinking of like worst case scenarios. I usually don't think of worst case scenarios. So like I'm just on a more positive side anyway. So anyway, the point is it didn't help. I do like journaling a lot, and I want to do more of it, especially just like the free writing. And then, there's so many ideas and like stories, and like we forget our day to day. And one journaling story is when I took my trip to Alaska in 2019. I journaled every single day. So that was like, 5 weeks worth of like, just random stuff. I mean, I would write down like where we ate and just like random facts of the day, which there's absolutely no way I could remember, a whole month every day, like what we did and where we went. But now I can go back and like check that out and like try to remember stuff. So yeah, what about you, Adam? Do you journal much or?
I don't. I've never journaled. I'm interested in you. Is a gratitude journal different to a diary? Like what is a gratitude journal? What do you put in there? What does it look like?
It's the same. It's just a journal, but you can list the things you can write. I'd write letters. I could write a letter to myself, to my future self, or I could just list things, specific things that I'm grateful for. It's not strict. It's not like I can only write. I've got business ideas and all kinds of stuff in that. But whatever page I open it up to, I'll just write from there. And it's nice to reflect on, like Doug said, when you've written all these things, you don't remember these things, and you can look back and think, okay, that's the kind of mind state that I was in when I wrote that. Wow, this is what I was thinking. So yeah, there's nothing special about it. It's just what you put inside.
How often do you look back on things? It's easy to write in there every day. How often do you look back?
I don't write every day. I try to, but I don't know how often I look back. Periodically, I'll just pick it up and I'll read something, and yeah, I don't make it a point to go back and see where I was at this time a year ago and stuff like that. But it's nice to go back when you do go.
Yeah, I almost never do, but like Ariel said, I mean, I started with like a more rigid format, and
Yeah,
then really it's you could write whatever you want if you have a business idea or like a cool story happened or you're thinking back about something in the past or whatever, you can just write whatever you want. And I've heard some people do just free journaling where they, when they start, they don't even know what they're going to write about. Maybe they have an idea, but if they don't know, they're just like, I'm supposed to start writing. I write 3 pages every day, and they just like,
yeah,
do that. Um, and then they eventually get out of their head and they write something. But yeah, it's really like whatever you want to do. But I would say if you have some structure to start off with, it'll take the pressure off a little bit.
yeah. Yeah, for sure. I've definitely something I wanted to look at, especially the gratitude journal, because we've talked about this before, Dag, on previous shows. I'm always looking for the next goal and target in my life. I'm not really appreciating kind of the journey, like you said, Ariel, appreciating the journey that you're going through. I'm always looking for the next result. And when you get there, it's hard to remember that this was your goal, like X amount of time before, and you're just always looking forward. And I feel like I need to take time out of my life to actually appreciate that journey, and a gratitude journal seems like it would do that.
Yeah. And one
Yeah.
sort of related idea is, and I've been trying to do this, but I haven't executed super well, but like just get out of your like normal environment. And I think I heard it's a guy named Brad Feld. He was on the Tim Ferriss podcast a while back. I think he only lives like a few miles away from here, but he and his wife, I think they go to a cabin out in the mountains or something for like a week or two every quarter. So they like detox from the internet, like they're completely unplugged. They read, they get bored. So that's what I was getting at. Like if you get bored like a few days in a row, like and you can't go and mess around on your phone or anything, like you have to confront whatever you're thinking about. You have to find
Yeah,
stuff to do, like things that probably seem really urgent. Like I know I've done much better, but like just getting emails and stuff, it's like, oh man, I got to do something with it. And then if you're gone for a week and like nothing happens, it's like almost all the email, like almost nothing is urgent. Like
yeah,
it doesn't matter. So you could sort of slow down. But yeah, with the ongoing goals, like I've started this session, it's like if you keep looking at like your peers, there's always someone a little ahead, a little hungrier, or
yeah,
younger than you, whatever, and it's like you'll never be able to keep up with it. So it's just, I don't know, this endless
yeah,
treadmill.
yeah, for sure. I think part of like being enough is also about mindset, and I think part of that is also around kind of failures and not letting failures stop you from moving forward and stuff. Errol, how have you? It sounds like you've tried a lot of things in the past, and I'm assuming lots of them worked, but lots of them didn't work. How did you overcome those?
Yeah.
How did you just not say, "Oh, I'm giving up, and I'm going back to whatever I was doing before"?
At the time, the failures, as you know, failures just seem like that's the end of the world. But
Yeah,
I think with the whole being enough thing as well, it's like I know I'm always going to be this entrepreneurial person, so I might as well just embrace it. I've just got to keep going. But I think with me, the same way that I've got shiny object syndrome with the sites, I've had that with my business ventures. So the
yeah,
first hurdle, or a few hurdles in, the hardest hurdle, I could have found a way around, but I'd stop or be disheartened, or because even with eBay, when I was doing the buying and selling, I was it was before drop shipping. I was buying from China, and I was buying. I had my room was just full of stuff, and so I was actually doing the doing the selling, like physically going out to the post office every day, and I was just posting things off. But what happened was eBay. I was too young to be on eBay anyway, so they shut me down, and then that was I kept restarting, but after a while they just didn't want me on there. Tried it on Amazon, Gumtree, which is like Craigslist, and I kept going, but I didn't find ways to grow. So I always had like a ceiling of how much I would earn. I'd earn some good money, but then I'd have a ceiling, and I didn't go past that. So looking back on all the different things I tried, I think the only thing is consistency, and that's a lesson that I've learned from all of those ventures. So I was onto something, but then I didn't push through as I could have. So all the lessons that I've taken away from the failure allow me to do the things that I do now in their entirety and just make sure they work.
Do you have any tips for switching your mindset when something fails from, oh my God, this is rubbish, I'm not doing this, to, because it's definitely a skill set to say this failed, but I'm on to something, I'm going to carry on going forward. Lots of people, the majority of people just say, oh, I failed. Even if I was on to
Yeah.
something, I'm not going to carry on going.
Yeah, I don't know. That took me a while to get to, because now I'm in this positive mind state, and because I've been through that transition, I can't see myself going back.
Yeah,
So even if there is a failure, like if my site drops or something like that, I'm never gonna feel so disheartened that I throw in the towel. I'm just gonna keep
yeah,
going. But it did take a while to become that resilient, enough to just say, I can only do what I can control. And I think if we just focus on things that we can control, and not the things that are out of our control, you just be a lot happier. You just put things aside that aren't working, or give it a minute, take a and then come back to it, rather than being just quick to throw in the towel.
yeah. I think the important thing from that I took away from there was only do the things that you can control. Like, don't worry about the stuff that's out of your control. I think that's a big
Yeah.
one, to be fair. How about you, Doug?
What was the original question? Something about failure?
Yeah, like we've all had like failures in our time, and how do you kind of keep going, not let them affect your mental status of like, oh, I'm
Mhm.
a failure, I'm not enough because this project has failed, for example, or whatever.
Right. Well, I know, luckily, I haven't had any like huge big failures super recently, but there's always a series of like little little things going on. But
Yeah,
I know, right before I got laid off, I'll tell a specific story. Right before I got laid off, I was starting another case study. So this was after like two like Google algorithm updates slash penalties, like just major issues where like things were great and then they completely dropped. So like two of those in a row, and I was going to start this case study with some expired domains and then some new domains and compare them. And I was like, I put a lot of money and time into it. Anyway, those also got penalized. so so that one was a little rough. And the thing that kept me going is like, luckily I knew that it was possible to earn money online and that I could be successful. I had a little bit of a taste of that previously. And then I saw, a bunch of peers around me and I understood that it could be done. So I think it was just the belief that it was possible.
Yeah.
And again, fortunately, I had a taste myself, so I knew that not just other people could do it, but I was confident that I could do it again. And then the other piece, which I think is really important, is I saw it as a way out of the corporate job, which I wasn't enjoying, and I knew it was possible to leave that, even though there's a lot of volatility and uncertainty just in general. So I guess it was just like I hated that job or the culture enough that I was like, you can figure it out. Like you'll be able to
Yeah.
figure it out. And I know that doesn't motivate everybody, but that kept me going.
Makes sense. And I think something similar, which I think the three of us have, which is probably unique to this kind of mindset, is the mindset of like what you just said, like I'll figure it out. If it's a different type of mindset that I see even some of my friends have. Like if something doesn't work or something fails, they don't have the mindset of, well, let me figure this problem out. How do we fix this problem or work the solution and then carry on? It's just a case of, oh, this didn't work, or I can't figure this out, and then they just stop. And I struggle to get my head around that because it's the opposite. Like, well, why didn't it work? What can you do different? How can you fix it? I think it's that figure it out, whatever it takes mindset potentially that stopping a failure maybe.
Hmm. Yeah, definitely. And I think, we talked about the like the external factors, and there's like some stuff that you control. I think maybe there's like a subset of people that they're like, well, I can't control this stuff and it didn't work. And I got, one algorithm update and they're like, well, I'm just going to quit and, find something else. I mean, which is valid if they want to do something else. But I think pretty much every business model has its own pitfalls and external forces that you can't control. And it's just which one do you want to deal with? But, there's no like free ride. Like there's nothing that's like going to be easy and always work and anything like that.
Yeah. You guys must obviously I get them. I say it all the time. I get them now and again. And I read a quote which sums it up basically. It says, don't believe everything your mind thinks. And it's basically like, I get bad days some days where like things have gone wrong during the week, for example. And I'm just like, oh my God, I'm not cut out for this maybe. Or like, and that's when I don't have that mindset of what's gone wrong, how can I fix it? Like sometimes I just get stuck and like, oh my God, what am I doing? What all these and it's usually because a cascade of problems has happened during the week, maybe, or a couple of days, or in short succession. And thankfully, I've got a partner, business partner, Mark, and I definitely see it. We go through roller coasters where I'm in this little funk for a day or so, and he helps me out of it by reminding me of all the good things that we've done and things like that. And then a couple of weeks later, he'll go through the same thing, like everything okay. He's like, oh yeah, I'm not feeling it. But you guys are, I'm assuming, Ari, you're like a solo entrepreneur, and Doug, you don't have a partner like I do so much with Mark. How'd you get out of that without that other person? For me, Mark is my puller. I don't know how to get out of that without him at the moment.
Yeah. Usually if I hit a spot like that, it's usually because I'm tired. This is no joke. So it's usually because I'm like, several days of not enough rest. And like usually if I get enough sleep, like it's like, everything's mostly fine. And I mean, there were certainly times where I was like, I did need to get pulled out of there. And I think I just like started taking like just kept doing what I was doing, kept taking action, and then like the action sort of like remotivated me. And then, hopefully you get a little win or some momentum or something like that. But
Yeah.
I think it was just through, doing what, the system tells me to do and just like move forward, keep trying to, make progress, even if it's slow or it seems like maybe it's not working. But sleep, take a nap, that usually helps.
For me, I'm the person doing the pulling out. So so my sister she's in niche sites as well. So I'm solo entrepreneur, but we started at the same time. and she's gonna watch this at some point, but she'll get into the funk, and then I'll have to be that positive person that's like, like just keep going, one brick at a time, and so on and so forth. But like I said before about the things you can control, and this is something I tell my children as well, is when they're angry and they want to fight each other, that they can choose a better thought. And I know it's, for some people, it's going to sound like some hocus pocus kind of stuff, but it really is. You have the power to choose your thoughts. So you find yourself thinking negative things, or, okay, this isn't working, I can't do this. You can literally tell yourself, it's not true. Why am I thinking that? Of course I can do this. So so if something's not going right, I just tell myself to choose a different thought, and it works for me. It's been working. So yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. I never thought of it by just telling myself. Like I've just relied on Mark, which is probably not the right way, but I can do Mark's job for him by just telling myself. I guess.
It's not something that you can just
Aaron, I think your microphone's gone a little bit funny.
Oh, is it? That's my AirPods. Can you hear me?
It's really bad. It's very static.
Oh, really? Oh, gosh.
Yeah.
I'm not sure why. Turn that off. Is that all right now?
No, it's still the same. But we'll fill in while maybe you. I don't know what you do.
I don't even know what to do.
Reset, recheck there. Do you have your your other good mic there too? No, you're still there.
Now on the.
Okay.
Yeah, I think so.
I think it's my net.
Okay.
I can hear you better. The microphone's better.
Yeah. Okay. Well, while she's troubleshooting, I think it is getting better. But Adam, I can't remember. Did you have were you riffing on a point there?
No, to be fair.
Okay.
Not really.
You were saying that you should be able to pull yourself now that you realize the trick. Do you just tell yourself to stop being negative?
Yeah, I think so. And I struggle with that because I find that it sometimes bleeds out into my personal life as well, or the other way around. Like if I'm having some issues in my personal life, like I find it difficult to separate them from that, then creeping into having a negative mindset for the business. And the other way around, if I having a negative mindset for the business, I find it difficult to set that business is finished now onto my life, I guess, outside of business. It seems to carry through. Not always, and not bad, but I definitely noticed that mood from one affects the other one 100%.
And one thing I see Tony just put in imposter syndrome. So yeah, do you ever run into that, Adam?
Yeah, I think so. I think everyone has imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
But it comes and goes in waves again. Like sometimes I'll be like, oh, this is great. Mark's on holiday this week, for example. He's on holiday all this week and half of next week. So I'm kind of doing my duties and Mark's duties and doing everything else. And I'm like, oh, this is great. Like I'm running this business on my own now. My sites are doing well. The business is doing well. I feel like I'm on top of everything. And I'm like, this is great. I could do this. I could do this without Mark potentially. Not really, Mark, if you're listening, but that's the way I'm feeling at the moment. I'm feeling on a high. And then other weeks I'm like, oh my God, like I can't do this at all. Like, what am I doing? And then Mark will usually come along and say, hey, what's wrong? Why are you feeling like that? What's going on? And it doesn't take me long to come out to those things, but I definitely do get imposter syndrome. Like, yeah, I've always had that kind of thing. Even back when I was working for a digital marketing agency, when I was going and selling these digital strategies to universities, I still feel sometimes like, what am I selling them here? Like, what am I doing? Well, I don't know this stuff. You do, and you've seen campaigns run and perform and things like that. But yeah, it's just a reoccurring mindset, that is, which you probably need to try and get rid of somehow.
I don't think it goes away. I know I've talked to, I experience exactly what you're talking about. A lot of times, especially more recently, I'll do, I have the other podcasts, so I'll be interviewing like super well-known people, and sometimes they come here to my house, right? Like, and I didn't come up in that space.
Yeah.
but when I talk to other people, they're like, they've listened to whatever this podcast for like 9 years and it's like a rock star. And, but yeah, it doesn't go away. And I think as I've talked to other people who are higher up, they're like, yeah, like I felt it and I still feel it. And it's just like, if you continue to progress, like you'll always feel that way. And it
Yeah.
just, like you said, everyone has it. So it's like, everyone in the room's just like, I shouldn't even be in here. Like, what is
Yeah.
this place? So what about you, Ariel?
What was the question? Because I missed some of it.
Oh yeah, that's right. Imposter syndrome, just generally imposter syndrome.
Yeah, I think that's what I think I started with that one with the being enough thing. So I think I kind of
Oh
answered
yeah,
that one. But yeah.
yeah. Well, how about something specific? Because like you were at affiliate gathering, right? And you were on stage and everything, and there were like
That
hundreds of
was
people. So what was that like?
That was it was interesting because it was a different setting, but not many people in this space know this, but I used to perform anyway. So I used to do music. I'm not going to give my stage name or anything for anybody to pull up any any previous things, but
Oh, come
I
on. I
actually
didn't know that. Yeah. Off when we stop recording. Yeah. Go ahead.
yeah, I guess so. Yeah, so I performed at Glastonbury on my 19th birthday. So
What?
Wow.
so I'm not necessarily shy, but in a different setting, it's just, getting used to that stuff again. But the affiliate gathering, I think I was already excited to be there and, to just talk to people. I feel like everybody is just normal people. So
Yeah.
but yeah, being on stage and stuff, it's been a while, so that was different. Yeah.
Okay. I feel like we could go off on a huge tangent. You just dropped a huge bombshell here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you feel when you were talking on stage and everyone was kind of looking and trying to understand what you were doing, did you feel that how did that make you feel? Like with people taking your tips and tricks and things like that and then going away and doing them? Like
Yeah, that
then
it
you're like,
was
oh, Ariel told me this. Ariel told me how to do that kind of thing.
it was actually funny because there's so many people that are just so much further along than me. So to talk initially, it's just like, yeah, that's where imposter syndrome comes in, because I don't know half the stuff that a lot of people know, but I can only share my personal, what I've done and what's working for me. And if anybody finds any use from that, that's a good thing. But it was really nice when I had people come over to me often and say, I've seen you on Doug's show and so on and so forth. I like what you said about this and that. That was nice because then I could just have a conversation about those things that I have interest in. But yeah, being on stage, people asking questions, it only really trips you up when you lose your train of thought and then you try and find your way back. And if it takes too long to get back on track and you start saying all kinds of stuff, but you think it's a lot worse than it is. And I had the same thing going on Doug's show for the first few times. It's like, what if I say something stupid? But there's not much you can do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That it happens to me probably every live stream, and half the time that I'm doing a podcast, I start talking and then I'm like, where am I? Like what? Like I don't even know how to finish this sentence. Like I don't even know where I was when I started this thing, but I don't know what point. And I think I think now sometimes I stop and I'm like, well, what was I trying to talk about? I don't know. I think I try to connect too many thoughts and like give a background or something. But yeah, that's a fear, because when you're on stage, like it's like what are you gonna do?
Yeah.
Nobody's
I
preparing
mean, I
you
guess
out.
you can still stop and just say, what was I talking about? And then you get back on track maybe. But
Doug,
anyway.
did you ever feel any? It's just open-ended question. Did you ever feel any imposter syndrome with the KGR stuff? Because you've become really well known for keyword golden ratio, and everyone knew that you were the guy that invented this thing, or came up with it and coined
Yeah.
the term and stuff. Like, did you ever feel anything about that?
You know, maybe maybe I guess not a ton on that specifically. And part of it, and if you go back through the whatever thousands of hours of content that I have out there. Like I've said multiple times, like a lot of the ideas were out there. The ideas were 100% out there.
Yeah.
There were a couple things that I put together, and part of it is just marketing. Like you put a name on something, no one cared for for years, no one cared, but I talked about it enough and it worked enough that other people would talk about it. So I think I didn't feel imposter syndrome because it was like pushing a boulder uphill. Like if you like coin a term, like for example, the Tomb Raider thing, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you would have to talk about it for a couple years before more than our community knows much about it. And if it's not really catchy, then it's even harder. And it's really tough to get something to for people to pay attention. So I think I was like, I earned that one. You know, even like I said, the ideas were out there. You could find different pieces here and there, but to like make a phrase stick, it is tremendously difficult. So yeah, I guess I'm like that took work, and I'll own that one. So
It wasn't an overnight success then. You didn't just come up with it and then everyone just thought, oh my God, this is great.
no. And actually, it was inside a previous iteration of my course, and I was not sure if I wanted to share it outside the course because
Right.
it was like I was like that this is one of the best things, but I was like I think I'll do better if I just give as much as I can away, which turned out to be true. So
Yeah. Awesome.
yeah.
Do you guys have anything else you want to talk about being enough? Kind of gone through all my list of topics that I hastily pulled together when I realized this was Mark's topic, and he probably had a whole list of things he wanted to run through about the topic. But
Yeah. No, I don't have anything else. I think just a quick summary from me. I think
sure.
I've arrived at a point like really intentionally, and it took like years where, I don't care as much about what other people think. There can be good input, so I don't want it to sound like I just ignore everything. Some of the best feedback you can get are from critics or people that don't like what you're doing. So I try to take that and see if I can do anything with it. But the big thing is like if you're comparing yourself to the success stories that we cover, if you're comparing yourself to just like other people out there, it's just going to be like a losing battle. You'll never ever catch up. You can use it as motivation. Some people have a chip on their shoulder and do what you need to do to be motivated. But that I don't have a chip on my shoulder, and I just kind of stay in my lane. And I think I've probably looked at maybe some celebrity type people that like they were very successful, but that they walked away or they stepped it down. And the thing is, you don't hear about them too much unless they like come back and do something else. But I think those folks probably realize, I have enough. Like, I'm not going to play this, Hollywood. I'm not a celebrity, celebophile or whatever, but they're like, I'm not going to play this game in Hollywood. I'm going to like do my own thing. And if I want to, write a book or do something different or produce, like they'll work on that. So I think, that inspired me to just be like, stay in your lane, like pick the stuff you want to do. And like, you could be happy with that.
Yeah. Makes total sense. How about you, Ariel? Anything you want to summarize before we wrap up?
I kind of lost what was the last thing you said, Doug? Because there was something that sparked something I was going to say.
Stay in your lane, pick your own game and be happy with what you have.
Yeah. So your own journey. So when you're looking at other people's journey and what they're doing, that might not even be what you want. So if you don't know what you want for your own life, then it's very easy to be swayed and, but then you're not going to be happy at the end of it. So I think really analyzing what you want your life to look like and trying to build to that. So everybody has this, okay, I want to earn this amount. And they're just milestones that they've heard from other people. So plan your life how you want it and then figure out how to get there. I think that's a freeing thing.
Just on that note, is it worth sitting down and actually writing that down? Because Doug, I started reading a blog that you recommended with the to do with the fire, the financial independence stuff. And on the start, I can't remember which one it was, but on the start here tab, it was the 1500 day one, I think it was.
Okay. Yep.
And it started here, and he basically, to figure out what they wanted and how much is enough, they literally just sat down and then they worked out for like a month or so everything they spent. They wrote it down and stuff, and then they just figured out what they needed to live the life that the comfortable life they wanted. Like that's just where you start, right? Is when you figure out what kind of life you want. You sit down and do that, like it's physical activity.
Yeah. And I think, I mean, we did a couple forms of that. So like my wife and I did the Dreamline from the 4 Hour Work Week, which is a piece of that where like you can test ideas. If you're like, I want to live in a van and travel to national parks or whatever, like you budget it out like very specifically, and you realize you need whatever, $120 a day to cover everything. And then you just figure out how to get $120 a day, and you can do that for 6 months and see if you like it. Do you want to do that full time, or is 6 months enough? But then like Carl, Mr. 1500 Days, the 1500 Days blog, he and his wife, they literally, he had a bad day at work and he was so stressed out and burned out. So he found our other friend's blog, Mr. Money Mustache, and then basically did the math backwards. Carl assumed that their expenses were 40,000. He was way off. I think it was like 50 or 55,000, but it worked out okay anyway. So if you do the 4% rule, 40,000 works out nice. You need $1 million, and then you could live off the interest. So they literally sat down and calculated it. And then, my wife and I, we had an idea of our expenses, but it's very, the way we pay for things, we were able to go back to credit card statements and look at historical data for like 2 to 3 years. And then we're like, oh, on average, we spend this much in these categories. Here's how much we've spent in the last 3 years. So then you could use that to estimate. But then it's just like a math problem. Pretty easy.
Yeah, for sure. I guess, and this is just wildly off topic now, how do you stop lifestyle creep coming in then, though? Because when you get to that point, you're like, oh, this is great. But what if I want a better house or a nicer car or more holidays or whatever that is?
So there's, excuse me, there's probably a couple areas to talk about there. One is you can, control it a little bit if you're aware ahead of time. So if you're not trying to keep up with your coworkers that are getting nicer cars because they got a raise or they bought a new house or whatever, then it's much easier. So you don't have to worry about that. But Adam, like you like cars and I don't care, but I like guitars. So it's like, I know the price range is a little bit different, but basically you spend money on stuff that is important to you, and then you don't on the things that you don't care about. So everyone has like their priorities, and like, if you like cars, like, get cars, like do that if it makes you happy. You can have lifestyle creep. So there's, in the fire community, there's like the ultra frugal people, and those make good headlines because it's like this person lives off $20,000 a month or $20,000 a year with a family of 4, blah, blah, blah. And they're like, they're cutting back in so many areas, but that's not for everyone. So there's another set of people, they label it fat fire. So it's like, 100K per year plus, and it's just, luxurious, right? They do whatever they want to do. So you could pick whatever you want, and if you want your lifestyle to creep in a different way, like we're probably going to do more traveling and stuff, and when we do travel, like we try to get nice stuff and stay in nice places, and like you don't want to cut back. So you're like, is this hotel safe that we're staying at? Like you don't want to be in that situation. So, but that's a big thing. Like expenses will change. So you calculate whatever it is. And the 4% rule is a great rule of thumb to get you in the right ballpark. And then you can adjust from there. The good thing with the 4% rule is if the math like goes askew or something like that, and you're going to like run out of money, you're not going to run out of money for like 20 years. Like you have plenty of time to adjust. So if you're like, okay, maybe we should cut back on travel this year because the market's down, then you could do that. But that's only if you're like drawing down. I could talk about this stuff all day long too. So
we should definitely make one of these shows about that kind of stuff. Because since I started reading that blog that you recommended, that you mentioned, like
yeah,
I've gone down a little bit of a rabbit hole now where I'm reading
good.
more and more stuff.
Yeah, there's so much out there, and like, yeah,
Yeah.
once you get, I mean, once you sit down and do the calculations at them, like, and you solve that problem, like, you almost don't have to go back and solve it
No.
again. It's pretty easy, and you could, like I said, you could adjust along the way. And if you're like, you know what, I'll just have like, one website or a part-time job where I earn, say, $20,000 a year, like not even that much, right? Just a
Yeah.
little bit. It completely changes your math.
Yeah.
Right? So you can now use that 20K per year to pay for all your travel or something like that.
Yeah.
And then you end up with a much easier math problem. You don't need nearly as much money.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, we'll definitely do one of these on that kind of stuff. What to do, where to invest your website profits, or how to invest your website profits, I guess.
Yeah.
For retiring early or something. I don't know.
Yeah, that'll be a good one. Awesome.
All right. Doug, anything you want to promote? What's coming up this week for you? What are we doing this week?
So two big things. So I had a great interview with a guy named Jamie. He's 25, and in June he made 32,000 from his websites. He's crushing it. Great interview. A lot of good information. He puts a lot of time into high quality reviews that he's not worrying about the quantity so much. Like a lot of us are like, we're publishing 1,000 articles or whatever. He's like, if it takes me a week to do one article, like I'm going to do that. So great interview there. And the other thing is I've been testing Jasper. So I think I just had another video go live today. I'm kind of learning like as we go, and I'm recording it and publishing it. So there's some videos where I'm like, I don't think this was very good. And then there's some videos where I'm like, this is great. So check those out. I'm curious to see how they're going to go overall. But yeah, people seem happy to see like some demos.
Some people are offended that you've
Yeah.
that you've changed your mind.
Yeah,
you've got to be open-minded, right? Because the technology changes all the time. You've got to be open-minded. And we had a whole discussion last week, didn't we, Dan, about the pros and cons of AI and some of the use cases and stuff. I think it's great for some things.
Yeah, so I'm going through and trying to figure out like what it works pretty well for, which I should have done this last week for the topic, but I wasn't familiar enough with the tools. But just like have an outline created by Jasper, and then that's what we use for running our show here, basically.
Yeah.
So
we should do that. That'll be fun.
Yeah. So check those out, and like I think it'll be interesting, like how it plays out. If there's anything where I'm like, this is actually really, really good. It hasn't hit me yet, but I don't know. Okay, so that's all I got. Thanks.
Errol, I don't think you're selling anything or you've got anything to promote, but where can people find you? Don't go searching for Glastonbury.
No, don't. I'm on Twitter, Ariel CPX. I've been on Twitter way too much recently, but it's fun, and it's all growing. I'm on YouTube, not YouTubing enough, but that's it. And arielphoenix.com. My YouTube channel is London Stacks. I used to buy precious metal and talk about crypto, so I've still got that, and I need to figure out how to change my username, but that's what it is. And then arielphoenix.com. I just share my income reports, and then of course I'm on Doug's channel and site as well with my income report, my case study income reports.
Awesome. Just a couple of quick things from me this week. One is, don't forget to sign up to our Building Empires event. This will be our second one, and it's running January. So get signed up early, nice and early on our list. Go to building.empires.live for that. And And like I say, Mark's off this week, so I'm doing another live stream tomorrow. But I've got a guest. I've got Mike from Below Average Blogger coming on. He's going to talk a little bit about his keyword research methods, because I had an interesting chat with him recently, and he basically said he takes little bits from lots of different methodologies and kind of combines it into his own mishmash of keyword research. So excited to learn what he does there. We'll probably talk a little bit about, we built an age domain for him as a case study, built on an age domain, and it's taken off really nicely. So we might touch upon that. And then we have Eleanor then, who's our website investing specialist, who's going to be doing some teardowns of our age domain. So it was her first time on the show last week, so this will be a second show. She's just getting used to things, and she was quite nervous, I think, last week. So hopefully this week she's not as nervous. Yeah, keep an eye out for that. And we'll be back on, whose channel is it next week, Doug? Is it Alex's channel next week, I think? But Alex is not here, so...
Right. Yeah, maybe I'll have it on mine.
Yeah,
then.
Cool.
I don't know what the topic is. It's probably Alex's topic, too. We may have to shuffle it around. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, we'll figure it out.
Awesome. All right. Well, the other thing, I'm not going to do the giveaway because I don't know how to take the names out of YouTube like Mark does, unfortunately. So when Mark's back next week, we can do a double giveaway or something like that. But I tried to figure it out beforehand, and I don't know what he's doing in the back end to get the names out. I know he asks everyone to make a comment, and then he does something, but I don't know what that is. I couldn't figure it out before the stream. So
yeah, I don't know either. I don't do that stuff either. No transitions. Just keep it simple,
No transitions. Yeah, didn't transition in. We're not going to transition out. No giveaway. Hardly any overlays. Just the way I like it. Awesome. All right. Well, thanks both, and thanks everyone.
Thanks.
Have a good one.